I would say it was never easier to make more out of yourself if you are in school. My parents, for example, grew up in the former Soviet Union, which was a very closed-up country with strong restrictions in regard of products available, information available, yeah, books, and so on and so forth. And in our age, you have everything available to you at your disposal, be it YouTube, books, AI, yeah, and you can use it to your advantage rather than be used by it, yeah. And I would say your mission in school should be to get inspired, yeah, by cool people, either through their books, for example, like these ones, yeah, or through the people you meet, for example, through events that are organized in your city or talks that you visit. I mean, to be honest, in I would say in high school, it's rather rather unlikely that you meet very cool people. I mean, it's not impossible or so, 100%. It is possible, but since you're quite young, yeah, usually um, it's not that common. But still, therefore, I'm saying that a great part of your inspiration can come from books, yeah, or people in your network, family, friends, their families, and so on and so forth. Yeah, because inspiration gives you some guidance in regard of which area you might pursue. Yeah, and school, I would say, should be approached as an exploration ground. Yeah, to check out the field that you find particularly interesting. Because I would say school, one of school's main jobs is to introduce you to the main fields that exist. Yeah, in the field of work. Yeah, in the area of work, like arts, music, um, sports, sciences, yeah, that you get to know everything of that, yeah, because people say, yeah, what you learn in school is not necessary for life, and this is true. But I would say one important thing about school is that it allows you to dive in to each of basically the available fields, yeah, outside of school, kind of, so you can make a more informed choice, kind of, what is interesting to you. Yeah. So from there, yeah, once you have a field where you say, hey, this is interesting, this is cool, I would like to dive deeper, I would say it's important to, uh, again, if you are ambitious, if you are very ambitious about yourself, about your future, that you look for a school for this field that is quite selective. Yeah. Selective in terms of that you end up with a cohort of the future experts in this field. Yeah, because this will push you to another level in regard of your personal standards to yourself, and it will provide you also an awesome network of people who will be very good in the field that you are interested in. And this is why it's quite helpful to aim for top grades, because usually these are either a requirement or are at least very helpful to get in, and maybe even get in on a scholarship. Yeah, yeah, either in your country or abroad. And I would say if you approach school like that, yeah, with with this kind of curiosity to discover who you are, what you like, and discover the world in a way, and also with a certain plan ahead, I would say you are already part of like the 1% or 5% who are thinking more long term and who are approaching school in such a way. Because when I think back to my time in school, I don't know anyone from my year who was thinking about, yeah, getting into a quite selective university, for example, or approaching school as an exploration ground. What I saw, including myself, was rather that everybody was basically going to school because we had to, and nobody actually had the goal to use it in some way. And people just wanted it to end as fast as possible, because everybody thought that then the nice life will begin. And even those who from my year who achieved top grades, yeah, were not pursuing extraordinary opportunities, yeah, at least from my knowledge. And this might be because of a lack of ambition, yeah, or just because they didn't know about the existence of these opportunities, yeah, because I strongly assume that most of my peers, yeah, were not using their time after school to plan ahead a lot. Rather, I would suppose that they were distracting themselves from their future responsibility towards their future self. And the truth is that I, for example, yeah, I was super fortunate that some of my friends outside of school, yeah, uh, told me about my university. From I'm wearing a hoodie actually today also, which is a very good university for business, and they were telling me about it, and I got curious about it, and at some point I applied. But wouldn't they have told me about it, it's quite likely that I would have just applied for some random university here in my city, or maybe at another one in another city, but nothing difficult, nothing special in a way. Yeah, and when they told me about it, I had not even heard about this university at this point. And why didn't I hear about it? Because I was not proactive. Yeah, and I did not even try to look for the best options for myself. Yeah, which is honestly something everyone should do, in my opinion. I was just fine with mediocrity. Yeah, and when you are in school, you live in a certain bubble, yeah? A bubble where usually only things around school are discussed, yeah, and also some gossip related to school, while information from the world outside, from the world of work or universities, rarely enters this bubble, yeah? Either you have a parent who tells you about a nice university and inspires you, or you have an ambitious classmate, yeah, who inspires you, yeah, and who is proactive, uh, or the most reliable option, you become proactive yourself, yeah, and you try to look for awesome opportunities after school yourself. And when you become yourself, you are actually able also to inspire other people, yeah, um, through, for example, through telling your friends about what you've discovered and what you're now aiming for. And again, for me personally, I was just fortunate because I was not proactive at this point in time. And the interesting thing is, um, I'm I'm reading a book right now, which is called Clear Thinking, and in this book, he describes our psychological defaults. Yeah, by the way, I would really recommend you to read this book, Clear Thinking by Shane Parrish. And these defaults are tendencies, yeah, that all of us have when it comes to making decisions. These defaults are the emotional default, the social default, the ego default, and also the inertia default. Yeah, those four main defaults. And I won't explain like all of them now, just read the book. But there is one very relevant to our subject today, that it was never easier to make more out of yourself, because there is a social default, as I just said, and we tend to do what everyone else does. Yeah, and there was one very vivid example from from the book, yeah, which he mentioned. Mentioned, and he said that the only way to outperform, yeah, others, if you're doing what everyone else does, is through working harder, yeah, or longer than everyone else. So imagine a team of earth diggers, okay? People who dig the earth and who are working with their hands, okay? And the only way to move more earth is either through digging faster or through digging longer. Okay, and how much earth you have digged is the actual metric for success. Yeah. Now, within this paradigm, the digger who takes time off to think about a way to make digging more efficient or more fast and experiments with different ways to achieve that might seem quite crazy, right? Because his cumulative production falls behind significantly, yeah? Because while he is thinking, all the others are basically digging, right? And only when he invents the shovel in the end, yeah, others see the advantage of his invention, and he begins to win because he starts to dig faster and more and faster and more. Yeah, this is why I'm mentioning that, because you should be aware of the social default, and that people around you likely won't set ambitious goals, yeah, or plan ahead early. And if you won't be proactive, yeah, likely you will not do that either. You won't plan early ahead, and you won't likely set ambitious goals for yourself. And that's why I'm saying that you should get inspired by people who have achieved a lot in their life and have used their time in school, for example, or to their time after. Yeah, this is why I'm saying that, because your time in school can be used to open up the world of cool opportunities for yourself. Yeah, careers, incredible networks of people, and what I call a great life setup. Yeah, in my previous videos. And the reason why I'm saying that most people ain't doing stuff and it was never easier is because when I'm speaking to people myself, yeah, it's quite rare that I see people who are aiming for something big, yeah, or are working on difficult things, or um, pursue their own personal path that is kind of distinct in a way, yeah, or challenging themselves, yeah, themselves through their work or even just life wise. Um, because this is my impression that I rarely meet people who are doing that. Yeah, um, I want to make you aware of that. That it feels to me like there is no competition. Yeah, especially in school, and that right now it was never easier to make more out of yourself and to unlock great opportunities than ever before, because now there is an kind of equality of knowledge. Yeah, you can get knowledge about everything, basically through a book or through a course or through YouTube or podcasts or AI, whatever. And thus, I would say nothing should stop you to start using your time in a way that benefits you and unlocks cool opportunities that you find exciting for yourself. Yeah. So, you who likely is ambitious, yeah, does not get caught in the social default that I was speaking before speaking of before. And if if you are interested, yeah, in using your time in school to work towards a future where by 21 or 23 you could have lived abroad with a strong international network and have gained real work experience across future shaping industries, working alongside, for example, CEOs or scientists, yeah, or just people who you find inspiring, I made a course where I explain everything that I would have liked to know, yeah, being your age in school, in regard of building towards opportunities like that. You can find the course in the first link in the description, and I'm looking forward to welcome you there. Lastly, I just want to say that, sometimes I look at pictures of me in school in 2017, for example, and of me and my friends, things that we were doing, and it really feels as if it was yesterday. Honestly, like almost a decade uh, passed in a glimpse, just like that. And it doesn't feel that way. And this is quite alarming because it tells me that either time is your friend, yeah, because through the multiplication effect of your days, which I already spoke about, I think in my first video, feeling ambitious as a lie, will either push you toward a place in the future, basically, that is desirable to you, or not. And I'm grateful and fortunate that I used the time in school quite wisely, but also I didn't in many aspects. I could have done much more. And this is why I'm there's one reason why I'm making these videos, because I want to make you aware of what I would have liked to know. Yeah. And in this video, the main point was the social default, that you understand that it is, I would say, to your benefit to not be affected by the social default in school, and plan ahead early. Yeah. Use school as an exploration ground, and get inspired so you have some kind of direction you work towards uh, early. Yeah. Looking forward to see you in the next video and welcome you in the live setup operating system course. Goodbye.